Well, it's the big brother. It's D2 Ward Live here with Riptides.
Yes.
And no witty reaction to what I just said, am I right?
Yeah, you didn't have that theme song.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It's more, I'm a real American.
God damn it. Anyway, you guys know what we'll be talking about a little later, but today we are reviewing Backlash 2000, which took place on April 30th, 2000 in Washington, D.C. at the MCI Center, with an attendance of 19,101. And the commentators for this event was Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. And the ring announcers for this event was Lillian Garcia, and of course, Deborah was a special guest ring announcer for the opening contest.
Yep.
And and of course, pay-per-view started with the video hype package that they always do for every pay-per-view or almost every pay-per-view. Hyping the main event match between Triple H and The Rock, which we'll talk about at the end. But yeah, then after the opening pyro, and the commentators welcoming us to the show, we get on to the first match, which was DX, which was X-Pac and Road Dogg taking on the tag team champions Edge and Christian.
Yep.
And of course, the tag team titles are on the line here. Great little way to start up. It wasn't too long, wasn't too short. Which this one was kind of interesting because both teams at this time were heels. I'm like, okay, you had two heel teams facing off against each other. Right?
Yeah.
Despite the popularity for both groups at this point. Right? But after some back and forth, this brief opening match ended. Well, not so brief. I would say it was about 8 to 10 minutes in length. Neither team really had the advantage going in except for the very end here. X-Pac did freaking perform the X Factor on Edge while the referee was distracted, but that allowed Christian to come in, attack X-Pac with a ring bell, busting him open, knocking him out, and then Christian pinned X-Pac to retain the tag titles, despite Edge being the legal person for the team. So it's like, I know I didn't go into great detail on this, but your thoughts on this tag match from what you've seen?
No, Christian was actually the legal because Edge had tagged him before the whole brawl happened. So it was correct when Christian pinned X-Pac.
Yeah, but were there any specific spots that stood out to you in this? Because it felt to me like the average mill tag match.
It was average. Yeah, he hit the Bronco Buster.
Yeah, that is true.
And of course, Tori was out there.
Yeah, I mean, X-Pac at some point.
No, X-Pac. No, Road Dogg was all like, oh, and the mean green machine, Tori.
During the entrance promo, yeah. I mean, yeah, and then Bronco. Yeah, and I know freaking X-Pac hit the Bronco Buster, I believe, on Christian, who Jim Ross mistakenly said that was Edge. I'm like, how can you mix those two up? Right?
Well, they both had long hair at that time. So it's understandable with JR a little bit because he was saying it before and then he corrected himself.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? It's like, X-Pac's freaking move, the Bronco Buster. How am I going to... I wonder if he thought to himself, how am I going to weaken my opponents in the corner? Oh, I know, flying teabag. That's pretty much what it was. Right?
Oh, that's what it was. It was literally a running teabag. You just go.
Your voice.
Yay!
Yeah, your voice was cutting in and out. You may
More.
have to repeat yourself.
I said it wasn't. Fuck! It was literally a flying teabag because he would run and literally just go, "Take my nuts."
Yep, something that you like to do to your opponents on Call of Duty these days. You get them down, you're like, oh, take it. Like a toxic player.
No, that was Clown Man that was doing that to you last night.
Oh, jeez, thanks for that, you dick. No pun intended there. Anyway, I think we go to the back where we see, at one point we see The Rock arriving to the arena. I remember that part. I mean, I was watching this literally the other night. Laying down.
Well, they were saying, oh, whose vehicle is that? That's not Stone Cold's. That's not Stone Cold's shoes. Oh, it's The Rock.
Yeah, and you know The Rock has scored a settle with Triple H at this point, and Mr. McMahon, considering The Rock was screwed at WrestleMania 16 a month prior.
Well, he had a score to settle with Shane McMahon, Triple H, Mr. McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
Or at this point, Stephanie McMahon Helmsley.
Yeah. But then we go on to the next. We go on to this next matchup, which was for the Light Heavyweight Championship, which saw Dean Malenko defend his newly won Light Heavyweight Championship against the former champion, Scotty 2 Hotty. And the part that kind of made me laugh in this one is Jerry Lawler on commentary going, yeah, I was talking to Scotty earlier today, and he said, yep, I'm going to compete through this whole match without losing my lid. As soon as he said that, lost the lid. Otherwise known as Scotty losing his hat.
Yes.
In the match. Of course, I kind of thought that this one was going to be like, you know, Squash Scotty 2 Hotty was known as a tag team wrestler, but Brian Lawler, or Grandmaster Sexy at the time, was freaking injured. And, well,
he was just coming off the injury list.
Yeah. And then, you know, Rikishi was out doing his own thing, so pretty much Scotty was out doing singles. Was doing a solo act for a couple weeks. Won the light heavyweight title from Dean Malenko, just to lose it back to him on the SmackDown prior. But this was
actually bullshit. They should have fucking stopped it, but that ref didn't fucking pretended not to see Dean Malenko leaning on the fucking ropes.
Yeah. Yeah, I seen that little clip. I'm like, okay. And actually, I gotta admit, despite, you know, Malenko taking advantage for the most part of this matchup, Scotty actually held his own and actually fought back. And at one time made you believe Scotty was going to win this match. By doing some high-flying moves. He even attempted the worm at one point. Which, let's just face it, the worm is just a freaking dance followed by a chop to the throat. Or a smack to the chest or whatever he does, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, the ending kind of got me being like, holy shit. Because I know at this point, in 2024 at time recording, or 2025 at time recording, Jesus, there I go again, forgetting what year I'm in. Time goes by fast, especially when you're getting older. But,
oh yeah, by the way, guys, when this goes up, you guys can leave in the comments, happy birthday, older man. Or Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday at time recording, or Mother's Day is my actual birthday. And oh, by the way, we'll get into that later. You'll be in for a treat. We'll be uploading the review for Backlash of 2025. That happened the night prior on that day. Coming up this weekend.
They brought Backlash back.
Which is why we've been doing classic Backlash events, or at least the two here. But, you know, I know, but like I was saying earlier, I know in 2025 we're used to, like, seeing big moves off the top rope, but back then it wasn't, like, so common to see. It was just mostly straight brawling and, you know, high spots were saved for, like, the cruiserweights or light heavyweights back then. It impressed me because freaking, Near the end of the match, we saw freaking Scotty 2 attempt to do a superplex from Malenko off the top rope, only for Malenko to counter into his DDT.
Flying DDT.
Into a flying DDT, which put Scotty 2 out. And I'm just like, damn, that's an actual good way to end this match. I did not see that one coming. I thought Malenko was going to win with the Texas Cloverleaf submission hold. You know what I'm saying? Didn't expect to see that ending. That actually looked pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
And Malenko retains the championship. And there was at one point Malenko tried to do a repeat where it rolled up Scotty or pinned Scotty using the ropes for others, but the referee caught onto it this time. But in the end, Malenko still retained.
Well, those two spots that he did, because he did that with the submission that he had, where he literally crawled himself to the rope and then grabbed the middle rope.
And the referee's like, nope, release the hold now.
Yep.
So anyway, I know this match wasn't, very long. I think it lasted a little bit longer than the tag match. I'm not totally sure. It felt like that way. But it told the story it needed to tell. So your thoughts on this light heavyweight title match? You want to see this to me? You have to see this match to get spot for spot. That goes for all these matches, by the way.
Well, it was nice seeing Scotty 2 do a singles run that he had it done in like fucking forever.
I know, because throughout Scotty 2's life or career, or more, or should I say more specifically through Scott Taylor's career, he was mostly known as a tag team competitor.
Yeah.
But, seeing a singles match that Scotty 2 had on pay-per-view is kind of like a hidden gem. And knowing he held his own against Dean Malenko, someone who revolutionized the cruiserweight division in WCW in the years prior to 2000, also speaks volumes here too, by the way.
Yeah.
I still say Malenko's best days were in WCW, but this was just a little glimpse of what he could have been in WWE if he was booked right. You know what I'm saying? But your thoughts on this match as a whole?
Those are good.
Yep. So yeah, we go to what I think was the weakest tag match of the night. I believe I don't know for sure, but kind of felt that way to me, and that's Farouk and Bradshaw taking on the Big Boss Man and B2. I mean freaking Bull Buchanan.
Your favorite boy, Bob Buchanan.
And you know what's funny? I look at the team of Big Show and Bull Buchanan, and I think to myself, now we know exactly where the Shield got their looks from.
You mean Big Boss Man, not Big Show?
Or Big Boss Man. I look at the team of Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan, and I'm just thinking to myself, now we know where the Shield got their looks from.
God damn, Dustin, you fucking mixing up tag teams and your fucking words.
I can't talk. There are days where I can't talk for shit. Why the hell do we even have this review podcast to begin with?
Just so I can make fun of you.
Ugh. But anyway.
Yes, they saw Big Boss Man and Bob Buchanan's fucking outfits.
And I'm like, wow. The Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan, they were the Shield version 1, so the actual famous stable should be Shield version 2.
Yes.
But it was like a good little brawl between the two hard-hitting tag teams here. Nothing really special. It's like nothing really special. The ending came when Boss Man attacked Bradshaw with a nightstick when the referee was distracted or down or whatever. And then Buchanan performed a diving leg scissors on Bradshaw to get the pin and win the match.
Flipping leg scissors.
But yeah, your thoughts? I know I didn't go into detail with this one, like I don't go into detail with any of these matches. We can just have a discussion about these matches. But any parts of this tag match that stood out to you, other than you making fun of me knowing where I got my D2 name from?
Yeah, Big Boss Man was a little bitch and had to go get his fucking nightstick.
Yeah. I mean, and just think, Bull Buchanan's son currently wrestles in WWE right now under the NXT brand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this match wasn't particularly great. It wasn't bad either. It just felt average. I mean, it was there just to be there to fill a slot. To be honest, we could have just saw this match on Raw or SmackDown at the time. But every pay-per-view has to have at least one or two of those average matches. That way, the big main event matches get the more time to breathe.
Yeah.
So that's truly understandable. This just felt like the average of the middle tag match. All right. So yeah, nothing really special. Didn't really do anything in the long run. For me, at least. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we go on to the most hard-hitting match of the night, I believe. And that was the Hardcore Six-Pack Challenge for the Hardcore Championship, which saw Crash Holly defend against Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Hardcore Holly, Perry Saturn, and Taz.
You mean Elroy?
Elroy allegedly weighing over 500 pounds. Yeah, that's not true at all. All right?
He was no Big Show.
And neither was Hardcore Holly when they announced his entrance as that too. Right? Of course, before the match even started, in the back we see Matt and Jeff Hardy going out there being like, man, it's gonna suck us freaking like facing each other, but we will if we have to. Showing some brotherly love there. Right? But then we had Hardcore Holly in the back with Crash saying, you know what? I'm going to enjoy beating the shit out of you. Right?
Even though we're cousins, I'm going to enjoy beating the shit out of you.
And Grav's like, why does it have to be like that only to be met with a slap?
No, he's like, oh, why does it have to be like that? Why can't we just team up for a bit and take out everyone else? And then when it comes down to the two of us, may the best man win. Gibbs slapped him right in the fucking head. And he's like, best man.
And I'm just like, dang. And for some reason, yes, that made me laugh. And the rules to this one were very unique. As in, none of the challengers could pin each other. The freaking only way to win was to pin the defending champion Crash, or if Crash pins one of the other participants.
Yep.
And I'm just like, damn. So either way, the champion has to be involved in the pinfall decision to either retain or lose. Which is something we really don't see a whole lot of in these multi-man matches.
Yep.
This one was chaotic and wild, including all 6 men fighting up towards the entrance ramp with that even showed, I believe it was it Matt or Jeff swinging off the freaking dang set into one of the hook sets into one of the opponents.
Matt climbed up, fucking dropped Crash Holly.
Yep.
And then Jeff fucking swung and hit the others.
Yeah, and obviously there are a bunch of weapons used, like, chairs and stop signs and other weapons that typically you would see in a hardcore brawl at this point.
Except Crash Holly never used one. He brought down a fucking shopping cart full of weapons and he didn't use any.
Crash Holly, for the most part, was just a freaking dummy that got his ass kicked for the most of this matchup. If you notice that too, as soon as Crash was down, everyone tried to pin him and then stop the pinfall. It includes sawing, and freaking, at one point, Jeff tried to make the pinfall and Crash only for Matt to break it up and vice versa, and they started going at it, briefly.
Yeah, Perry Saturn tried.
And that was broken up, right?
Taz used the Taz mission.
Yeah, Taz applied the Taz mission near the end on Hardcore Holly, but freaking Saturn hit Taz with a stop sign to break the hold. Right?
And literally knocked the fuck out of Jeff Hardy. He was fucking, as Jerry Lawler and JR would say, he was taking a fucking siesta.
on the outside. And of course,
No, in the ring in the corner, he was knocked the fuck out.
and then when Saturn and Hardcore Holly were fighting on the outside, Matt and Jeff dove onto Saturn and Hardcore Holly out on the outside. And Taz at this point was knocked out for like 72 dang years. Right? Which allowed
Both of them were knocked out for 72 damn years.
Which allowed Crass to just crawl over and get the lucky pin on freaking Taz to retain the championship.
He runs away like a little bitch.
And I'm just thinking to myself, what a way to bury a recently former ECW champion at that point. All right?
Yeah, they should have had Taz fucking win that. That was bullshit.
I know Frank used to say all the jokes about Taz being a jobber. Well, here I think he was correct. He was knocked out from a stop sign shot for like 72 years before being pinned. You'd think he would have just kicked out at that point.
That's because Perry Saturn hit too hard. He wasn't supposed to hit him that hard.
Yeah.
So he literally knocked out Jeff and Taz like that. He even got fined for that.
Yeah. But anyway, your thoughts about this hardcore brawl, and I need to point this out for the record. This is the third week in a row where we review a match or an event where Matt and Jeff Hardy were fighting each other, technically.
Yes.
Can't wait for your pick next week when you're like, we're going to be doing 2001 Vengeance where they fight each other once again. Oh boy, I doubt that's going to be the case, but we got to review that at some point. You're laughing because I think I gave you an idea.
That match was that show was shit too.
Well, Vengeance 2001 was where we crowned the first ever undisputed champion when they unified the WWE and WCW championships.
Yeah, it was literally right after Survivor Series when Team McMahon versus Team Shane.
It was Team WWE versus the Alliance. We already reviewed the 2001 Survivor Series. But anyway, your thoughts on this hardcore brawl with these 6 guys?
Taz should have won that. Well, technically he was supposed to win it, but Perry Saturn hit him too hard.
Yeah. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. Freaking Crash Holly retains and ran away because, it was at this point that the hardcore title was under the 24/7 rules, and no wonder he tried to run off. Right? So there you go. Anyway, we go to possibly your favorite match of the night from here. And that was when we saw Kurt Angle with hair. Yes, I have to point that out every time. Because, shit, what's funny? Kurt Angle wrestled more bald than he did with hair.
Yes.
So seeing Kurt Angle with hair is kind of a rare hidden gem during his early years now, right?
Yes.
Even Kurt Angle these days looks at an old photo of himself and goes, oh, there I am, winning my first WWE championship. Oh, and I have hair. He literally said that during a taping or a video at one point. I'm like,
you stole my fucking stick.
So yeah, even freaking Kurt Angle makes fun of the fact or points out when he has hair in these rare matches, right?
Yeah, because he lost his hair versus hair match versus Edge.
Yes, and that freaking shave job was so intense that he couldn't grow his hair back since. So here's a little life lesson: never let Adam Copeland or Edge shave your head bald. Your hair will not grow back.
Okay, Edge, come shave my head.
But anyway, Kurt Angle at this point on this show was facing off against the Showster, brother. A.K.A. Big Show dressed up as Hulk Hogan.
No, it was literally fucking. They're like, oh, now his opponent, and then all you hear, I'm a real American.
And I started booing right away out of instinct, and then I realized this was from the year 2000, and it was Big Show impersonating Hulk Hogan. And as soon as he got on the mic, he's like, let me tell you something, brother. I'm like, Jesus, not this again. Right?
I have the biggest pythons.
Oh, yeah, we need to talk about how this match came about, too, before we even get further into this short matchup here. Freaking, in the weeks leading up to this, Big Show was like, you know what, follow me. I just want to have a little fun. He started an impersonation gimmick, which that should be the nail in the coffin right there for any career, honestly, but Big Show somehow made it work.
Well, Big Show was the big nasty bastard.
Yeah. And then
he's like, well, I want to get rid of this a little bit, so to have a little bit of fun.
Showing his comedic side, right?
Yeah. Well, he was being himself because he wanted to be a badass, but he wanted to have fun doing it.
Yeah, and then on a random episode of SmackDown, I guess Kurt Angle was paired with the Big Show in a tag title match, but you know, Kurt Angle got annoyed because it was that match where he came out pretty much dressed up as Sheamus before Sheamus was a thing, or should we say Scottish?
No, he came out dressed as Wallace from Braveheart.
Well, whatever. It would pretty much be like Drew McIntyre's freaking gimmick.
Exactly.
So
it wouldn't be Sheamus.
So yeah, it came out as Drew McIntyre before Drew McIntyre was a thing. Sorta.
Yeah.
And then freaking Angle got all pissed off, slapped the Big Show. That match went nowhere, and that's what started this feud. And then,
Jerry was like, oh yeah, Big Show has A to Z freaking personality. When he gets pissed, he gets pissed.
Yes. And this match really wasn't even that long of a matchup. Like Kurt Angle attacked freaking the Showster or Big Show Hogan or whatever you want to call him, right?
He was hulking up.
He was hulking up from the start, nailed that big boot, nailed the leg drop, Angle kicks out. Only one person could get a 3 count on a leg drop that early, and it's not Big Show, right?
Oh, it would have been Big Show if he would have dropped it again.
Kurt Angle tried to do some offense, but all he did was just make the Big Show angry.
Well, he slapped the Big Show yet again. I'm like, you fucked hard.
And then that's when the Big Show said, screw this, knocked Angle down, performed the choke slam on Angle, and pinned Angle in the short match to win.
Yes.
After that wig fell off a freaking Big Show, or should I say that bald cap wig. Just think it was
made
about...
me laugh. It was funny. I forgot that literally happened.
And just think, Big Show 4 years prior to this, when he was the Giant, was actually working with Hogan in WCW.
Yes.
So, in a way, Big Show was impersonating one of his rivals from another company at this point.
Yes.
Your thoughts on the Showster, brother?
It was good.
This match was a squash. This match was a glorified squash. Angle had way better matches than this.
So did Big Show, but that was still funny as hell. He was coming out. He just kept coming out as different people.
So, was this cringe? Somewhat, yes, it was cringe. Was it as bad as Santino freaking cross-dressing? No. But it was still up there.
We all know that was your favorite.
Okay. You made me say it. I didn't want to say this, but you made me say it. if what you said is true, which it's not, but if my favorite freaking storyline was Santino as Santino Marella, then your favorite storyline was Katie Vick.
Go fuck yourself with that Katie Vick shit. That was horrible. That was worse than Santino. By far!
And not to mention your other favorite angle that we reviewed was the Kurt Angle Booker T feud. Enough said on that.
That was even worse than the Katie Vick fucking storyline.
So there you go. I didn't want to go that far, but you made me with your sarcasm.
Those two are way worse than what I said. So go fuck yourself.
Just think, I think I was the one who made us both review No Mercy 2002 and Judgment Day 05 respectively.
Yes.
But anyway, moving on.
Let me watch the fucking horrible goddamn Katie Vick angle, and then, just to piss me off even more, the fucking rape angle.
Shit, even Kurt Angle chalks that as the worst freaking storyline he's ever done. So if one of the participants said that feud, that storyline sucked, he'd rather burn in the back of his mind, you know it sucked. Right?
So yeah, my fucking sarcasm did not warrant those two fucking shit, you piece of garbage.
Oh boy. And those are just the crappy feuds we had to review so far. There was way more of these pay-per-views that we haven't talked about yet. Those being the top two shitty ones that we can think of. But anyway, moving on from that little comedy ha-ha fest of a match between Big Show and Angle, we go on to the next match, which was the Dudley Boys taking on Test and Albert with Trish Stratus in their corner. And, well, the story came about when Bubba Ray Dudley kept being mesmerized or infatuated with Trish Stratus. Like, every time Trish Stratus, he would go into a trance every time Trish Stratus would be near him or give him a freaking kiss on the lips or something. Right?
Yeah.
And after Test and Albert did their freaking entrance, they showed the Dudley Boys in the back, or I think the Dudley Boys came out first after they showed the video package. All we saw was Bubba in a trance backstage, and even Devon was like, "Come on, man, you gotta snap out of it. We gotta go out there and kick their ass." Or, whatever they said.
Well, he wanted to give Trish Stratus wood.
That could imply another thing. I know you're talking about putting her through a table here because that was a Dudley's gimmick, but that could also imply another thing. They knew what they were doing when they said that. I mean, between freaking trying to give freaking Trish Stratus freaking wood and nowadays Michael Cole saying, yeah, eat this big, bold, spicy meat stick. You know what they're doing. You can't deny that whatsoever. But anyway, this was a good
Man, the whole thing was when Bubba Ray kept putting all the divas and shit in through wood tables.
I think you also put like an 80-something-year-old or a 70-something-year-old Mae Young through a table at one point during this freaking like gimmicky
It started with Mae Young.
Yes, and then it went to every diva being put through a table. Or woman or whatever you want to call them, right? Back then they were called divas. Hey, we just call them women, but either way, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
But it was a good back and forth matchup here. Another team got the advantage, but I will talk about the ending. Bubba got distracted by Trish Stratus, right? Which allowed Test to come in at one point near the end and nail Bubba with a big boot to win the match, but that wasn't the end of the story here. The ending to the story came when the Dudleys freaking attacked freaking Test and Albert out of the ring. They set up a table, and Bubba had the intention of putting Trish through, but Trish gave him a lip lock one more time, and when we thought when we thought that freaking Bubba was actually going to be the trans and let her get away with it, he grabbed her by the hair and be like, nope, nope, not this time, bitch. Right?
Exactly.
And Bubba went up to the top rope with Trish Stratus and gave her a freaking seated powerbomb through the table.
Well, Devon gave him Trish Stratus because he went up to the middle rope, sat on the turnbuckle. Devon picked her up, put her into the powerbomb position for him, and then he fucking just jumped off there and put her through the wood.
Yep. Yeah, and the way Trish sold this was...
got carted off to the hospital.
Yeah, the way Trish sold it was freaking either good or overkill, depending on how you look at it, because Trish Stratus had to be stretched out of the arena.
With Test and Albert in the fucking ambulance.
Yes. So, your thoughts on this tag match?
Yeah, it was decent.
It wasn't the best tag match. Like I said, they could have done this payoff on Raw or SmackDown, but, you know, the crowd, they just wanted to see Trish Stratus get put through a table from Bubba Dudley, and that's pretty much what they got despite the result.
Yep.
Now, would we see anything like that today? Hell no.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe the other way around. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't mind seeing freaking Rhea Ripley put Dominic through a table.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you'd be like, best moment of the year right there.
Exactly. Putting the trash can through the wood.
Yes.
Or you could say putting wood through a trash can.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought it was alright. It wasn't like the best tag match that either team had. I mean, obviously the Dudley boys would have way more better tag matches than this. So honestly, you can just skip the match and just watch the ending to it after the match. The post-match shenanigans.
Except for Albert, because shortly after this, TNA broke up.
Yeah, I think they were around for like maybe a couple more months, but I know eventually they split. And Trish Stratus went off.
Then fucking X Factor shows up.
Yeah, I think it would be another year for or a little under a year before X Factor stable became a thing that Albert was involved in.
Yes.
And then you had Test doing his own singles career where he won the European Championship, dropping it to Guerrero at WrestleMania the following year. And then, of course, Trish Stratus, well, this was during her rookie months, but, you know, she would go on to have a legendary career as well. Which included 6 women's championships at a time when women's wrestling wasn't being taken seriously like it should have been. You know,
it was shortly after this event, a couple months after, but it was a short run for TNA because it was also when Shane turned on his father as well.
Yeah, so yeah,
which started the whole WCW and WWF war.
Yeah, a little under a year after this. But, you know, this match was alright, but you don't really need to see it. If you want to see it spot for spot, you can just watch it back. I don't know if we're doing a review or just one big advertisement for people to watch these events too.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, and giving our thoughts on it, but earlier I mentioned something about Eddie Guerrero defeating Test for the European Championship the following year after this at Mania 17. Well, here we see Eddie Guerrero defending the European Championship against S.A. Rios, and Eddie Guerrero had Chyna with him at this point.
Well, he just showed up at the show from his prom.
Yes, it was Eddie Guerrero and Chyna's prom night, and Eddie Guerrero literally didn't even have time to change into his wrestling gear.
No, they wouldn't let him change into his wrestling because they're like, oh, if you don't go out for your match now, you lose title by forfeit.
Yeah, and this whole angle came about, the story came about between these two when they were paired up at one point to take on the Hardy Boys. S.A. Rios had Lita in his corner. It's kind of weird seeing Lita being a manager for another team other than the Hardys at this point. This was before she was paired up with Matt and Jeff, obviously.
Yep.
But either way, that's kind of like a little not really important to this, because during that match, Lita jumped off the top rope, accidentally nails Guerrero instead of one of the Hardy Boys, one of the opponents, right?
Yep.
So Chyna said, you know what, we're just going to get you and S.A. Rios another chance, but if you screw up again, then there'll be consequences. And they had another tag match, and the same thing happens again, right? Leading up to this, right? And of course, that's when the whole feud between S.A. Rios and Eddie Guerrero really came to a head, to where they announced the European Championship match between the two at Backlash. And since they're like, whoa, since Eddie Guerrero in storyline just got his GED, freaking it's at Backlash, he's going to his prom and having to deal with an SA. I think that's the punchline to this whole rivalry, honestly, right?
Yes.
And yes, S.A. Rios did compete in WWE before as Aguila. He was a masked wrestler that fought Tiger Michinoku at WrestleMania 14, which we still need to review that event too, by the way. Right?
At some point, yes.
But yeah, Eddie Guerrero, like we were saying, Eddie Guerrero made his way down the ring in the friggin' rented car he was in. And literally, they had to pop the trunk his entrance to the car for him to get his elbow pads, a championship out, and everything else. Right?
Yes.
And I'm just like, this is so funny. This is so cheesy. It's actually funny, right?
Yep.
And of course, Guerrero and S.A. Rios had a good back and forth match. S.A. Rios did most of the high flying, while Eddie Guerrero held his own. But in the end, Guerrero performed a spinning crucifix toss that dropped him to a neck breaker on Rios to retain the championship. Which I thought this match ended with a frog splash or at least a belt shot, but no, it didn't. Your thoughts on, and I know we didn't go through the whole match, but your thoughts on this one? Oh yeah, and it was funny seeing Eddie Guerrero compete in tuxedo pants and that bow tie, though.
And dress shoes.
And dress shoes as well. I thought it was a good match, but it was kind of funny seeing Guerrero wrestle in non-traditional wrestling attire, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, your thoughts on this one?
It was good.
Was it Eddie Guerrero's best match? No, obviously, but was it probably one of his more comedic matches at the time? Yes. That seems to be the theme of this Backlash show, comedy.
Over.
What?
We thought it was over after fucking damn it. Lita freaking Hurricane Rana Eddie, but no, she then continues to freaking take off Chyna's dress.
Yes. Yeah, and then after the matchup was over, we see Eddie Guerrero and Chyna just posing with the belt. And I'm just like, huh. Eddie Guerrero and Chyna. That classic story. That classic story that kind of helped elevate both characters in the WWE. I can't say the same thing about their counterparts 20 plus years later with Dominic and Rhea. That only elevated one, and that was Rhea. In my opinion.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But either way, I think it was a good match. Little comedy humor there, and it showed a little bit of Eddie's funny side here. Before the days of lying, cheating, and stealing, where he would do that all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we go to our next matchup on this card, which was for the Intercontinental Championship. It was the semi-main event. For those keeping score, it was Chris Benoit defending the Intercontinental Championship against Chris Jericho. So we had the Battle of the Chris's here.
Yeah, no, I liked this match because it was funny as hell for Chris Jericho. Literally, is coming out and said, "So you wanted me to call you Mr. Roboto? So we're now I can legally do what everyone else wants to do. Well, Senator Roboto, I'm gonna beat your ass."
And you also had Jericho calling Chris Benoit Chris Benoit.
Yes.
The way that some Americans or some English-speaking Americans would pronounce that last name who didn't know French, or French pronunciations, I should say, right?
Yes.
Just based on the way it's spelled, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like the same thing with baloney. Why is baloney spelled like that when the way it's spelled, it's pronounced Bologna?
It's baloney.
It's Blogna.
It's baloney.
You're full of
Why
Blogna.
the fuck did baloney come into this?
You're full of Blogna.
I know you're full of shit.
I'm just saying, the different ways that the words are pronounced. They're pronounced not the way they're spelt. And you're full of Blogna. Your freaking mind is full of Blogna. Yeah.
And my brother's back antagonizing the damn dogs.
Yep. But I did like the way that Benoit tried to apply the crippler crossface on Jericho, but Jericho countered into the walls, which led to Benoit grabbing the ropes to force Jericho to break the submission hold. Right?
I had to close my door because I couldn't really hear you because they were barking over you.
I was just talking about how at one point in the match, both of them were freaking like Jericho countered the crippler crossface into the walls of Jericho, which led to a rope break.
Yes.
And at one point, the referee was incapacitated, so Benoit nailed Jericho with a championship belt for a 2 count. Right?
Yeah.
But then Benoit, near the end of the match, Benoit went for the diving headbutt that he was known and famous for. But Jericho freaking reversed it by attacking Benoit with the championship belt after the referee recovered, meaning that Benoit won the match by DQ, thus retaining the title.
Well, Jericho didn't attack him with it. He literally just grabbed it because Benoit threw the title right by him.
And Benoit was going for the flying headbutt. I guess Jericho grabbed it. Jericho grabbed the championship and nailed Benoit with it when he connected.
And then Jericho grabbed the title. Didn't know the ref was semi-conscious to see it. And then he literally moves it where he would hit hit Benoit right in the face.
Yeah, and then because of that, the referee seen it, disqualified Jericho, and Jericho, out of frustration, decided to put the referee into the walls of Jericho as a little bit of revenge.
Yes.
And I know, so your thoughts on this back and forth match, but it kind of had a cruddy ending. Though I understand why they did what they did, signifying that this feud was not over at this point, but still, was kind of, the ending fell flat to me after a hard hitter of a match. You know what I'm saying?
It kind of fell flat at that point after the ref spontaneously got back up.
Which is kind of weird for referees too, because aren't they born with paper skin and glass bones? I thought that was the whole logic of them being out for like 20 minutes.
Yes.
And yes, I know I just referenced the SpongeBob meme there. By the way, I think this match was okay, but the flat ending kind of like, lowered the points for me a bit, because yeah, the ending just was disappointment. Even though I know they fight each other again at the 2000 Judgment Day event, which we reviewed, but still, this one kind of just didn't. This one just was disappointing at the end.
Yes.
So, from there, we go on to the main event. And boy, a lot of people say that the main event for this show was the main event that WrestleMania 16 should have been. That happened a month prior. and it was The Rock challenging WWE champion, or back then WWF champion, Triple H. But Shane McMahon was a special guest referee.
And The Rock had Stone Cold Steve Austin in his corner.
Yes.
Which, for some odd reason, Stone Cold never showed up until the ending of the show. We all knew that he was there because his wife was there.
Yeah, because, well, Triple H had Vince McMahon and Stephanie McMahon in his corner. Freaking The Rock was supposed to have, like you said, Steve Austin in his corner, who Steve Austin was still, like, on the injured list. This would be, like, one of the last of Austin's one-off appearances until later on in the year when he could come back on a full-time basis. Right?
Yes.
Because of that neck injury he had. And this was before we found out Rikishi did it for The Rock. Yes, I know I have to throw that in there too, by the way. Right? But, you know, at the start, Vince McMahon announced to the crowd that he'd made sure that Steve Austin wasn't going to be allowed in the arena. Whatever, but during the match up here, Vince actually hit The Rock with a championship belt. And Triple H went for the pin, only to get a 2 count. Right?
Yep. Oh, Mr. McMahon kept telling Shane McMahon, count faster, give me the 1, 2, 3.
And, you know, when Triple H and Rock were on the outside, or Triple H on the outside, Shane refused to count out Triple H, pretty much being a biased referee. Right? Or a dirty ref. The Rock then performed a double rock bottom through the announce table on Triple H and Shane McMahon at the same time.
Well, you could literally see that he was it when he kept freaking stopping the Rock. He wouldn't even count to 5. He would just go, oh, break it up, break it up, break it up.
Yep. Yeah, and then Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe came out to try to officiate the match. Triple H.
Well, also when they were both knocked down, Shane McMahon was counting to fucking 10, and then he slapped. He was slapping Triple H to get up.
Yeah, biased officiating.
And that's when they went outside the ring. Triple H took apart the ring announce area. And freaking was gonna pedigree him through the table, but The Rock reversed it into a rock bottom. But Shane McMahon was literally saying no, and he's like, "Fuck it, rock bottom, both your asses."
Yep. And of course, this allowed Triple H to buy time, hit a pedigree on The Rock, and then Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, the Stooges, came out, was counting the pinfall for Triple H, but The Rock kicked out, right?
Yep.
And then Vince McMahon came in, nailed The Rock with a steel chair, and told Patterson and Briscoe to make a fast count. It was just chaotic, but it was at that time everyone heard the glass shatter. Right?
Yes.
And Steve Austin came out to the ring, nailed Triple H, Patterson, Briscoe, Shane, and Vince with a steel chair, knocking them out.
Well, he hit Shane McMahon first with the damn, because Shane McMahon was running up the damn entrance way trying to stop him. It's like, bitch, please.
Yep.
Fucking swung, knocked Shane McMahon's ass out.
Yep.
Then Jared Briscoe and fucking Pat Patterson he fucking beat their heads in with steel chair. Yes. And then Mr. McMahon's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my grapefruits up, but Jerry Lawler was saying, he's like, yeah, you can't do nothing. He's like, and then when the fucking Stone Cold turned around, fucking Mr. McMahon shrunk to the size of you.
And he shrunk to the size of you, and he got nailed with a chair too, fucker. Asshole.
No, it's not like you.
And then Linda McMahon appeared with referee Earl Hebner,
who was fired at that point.
Yes.
And got rehired.
And then Earl Hebner was going to officiate the rest of this match. And then Stephanie came out to confront her mother on the outside, and Linda promptly shoved freaking Stephanie down to the floor. right?
Yep.
Was like, bitch, please, right?
Yep.
And of course, Earl Hebner freaking officiated the rest of the matchup, which saw The Rock perform a spine buster and a people's elbow onto Triple H to win the WWE Championship after a 3 count. So, and then after the match, The Rock celebrated winning the WWE Championship, and then Austin came back to the ring, driving his pickup truck that was towing the freaking DX Express bus that got destroyed in the weeks prior build up to this. And The Rock and Steve Austin celebrated with a beer bash to end the show.
Yep.
And yes, in the lead up to this, I neglected to mention Steve Austin did burn down the DX Express tour bus, which became a famous moment in WWE history.
He didn't burn it. He dropped a fucking cinder block on it.
And blew it up, right?
Yeah, he's like, you're like, oh, he burned it down. I'm like, no, if he burned it down, that would be, but he dropped a fucking 10-ton fucking cinder block right on the top of the roof of the damn bus, and it exploded.
So yeah, when Austin burned it down, Triple H literally had the look of oh shit on his face.
Like you did?
Yeah. You're too funny. Your thoughts on this match as a whole?
Well, at least you don't have to worry about that tonight.
God damn it. Anyway, your thoughts on this match as a whole?
It was a good match from beginning to end.
Honestly, this match should have been the main event of WrestleMania 16 instead of that 4 corners elimination match. In my opinion, it was a lot better than the WrestleMania match.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I thought this match was great. It should have happened at WrestleMania 16, but at least we got it at Backlash. But it's kind of funny. We just spoke about The Rock versus Triple H. It's funny how both of them pretty much run the company these days.
Yep.
So yeah, now is the part of this review that we go to what I call our favorite part of the review segment, and that's our rating system. Edge and Christian defeating Road Dogg and X-Pac to retain the tag team championships. Despite all the shenanigans that happened for both teams, considering both are heel teams, I gave that one 4 out of 5.
I got a 4.5.
Okay. Dean Malenko defeating Scotty 2 Hotty to retain the light heavyweight championship. The ending alone is what sold it for me with that DDT off the top turnbuckle spot. I gave that one 4 out of 5.
I gave it a 3.5.
I enjoyed it a little bit more than you. Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan defeating the APA. Like I said, if I felt like it was average, so I gave that one 3 out of 5.
2.5.
Yes, I enjoyed it just a tad smidge more. Crash Holly retaining the Hardcore Championship in that 6-pack challenge. Due to the hard-hitting action in it and all the spots in, I gave it 4 out of 5.
3.
Yeah, 3. 3 out of 5 for you. The Big Show brother defeating Kurt Angle in that singles match. I gave it 2 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
I gave that one a 2 only because of the comedy aspect, because the rest of it wasn't even a match.
5 out of 5.
You enjoyed that one way too much, brother. Test and Albert defeating the Dudley Boys. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5, only because the half. It felt average, but the half a point that I added to it was because of the what happened after the match with the Trish Stratus being drilled through the table.
I gave it a 4.
Meh. Eddie Guerrero defeating S.A. Rios to retain the European Championship. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5.
4.5.
Chris Benoit defeating Chris Jericho by disqualification in that Intercontinental Championship match. The ending fell flat So I gave that one 3 3/4 out of 5. It was almost a 4, but we didn't get a clean finish.
I gave it a 4 1/4 because it had a good promo before the match. That's what kind of saved it towards the end. I remember the promo more.
Yeah, but besides the ending to me, it was a hard-hitting match. Like I said, it was a hard-hitting match until the end.
It would have been a 5 out of 5, but I had to give it a 4.
And the main event where we saw The Rock defeat Triple H to win the WWE or WWF Championship with Shane McMahon as ref and it was a big chaotic scene which involved Austin laying everyone out. I gave that one 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Because if I give it any less, freaking everyone would be wringing my neck. So that being said, my final overall grade for Backlash 2000 was an A-. Mostly on the strength of the main event.
An A to an A+.
Okay, so yeah, and that being said, now we're done talking about this review. That's our thoughts about Backlash 2000. So here's what we're going to do here as the reviews go up. This Sunday, we will be reviewing Backlash 2025, and that'll be put up Sunday, the day after it airs. So
this Saturday we'll be watching it and doing the review on Sunday.
Yeah, and uploading the review Sunday as well after. But now you get to pick. Now you get to choose. I know the next freaking classic review or the classic review we're going to be doing would be your choice, but you get to choose. Are you going to reveal it now, or are you going to wait till after we're done reviewing Backlash 2025?
Oh, I'll wait until after Backlash.
Oh God, I don't like that tone of voice.
It may be horrible. It may be great.
Knowing you, it's probably going to be horrible.
Or it may be your best dream. WCW!
No, it better not be, you muff. It better not be. Don't worry, I know the criminal of crap, because remember, it'll be my choice after that.
Or it could be Heroes of Wrestling. The world will have to find out.
I swear to God, you make me review that piece of shit. I already fucking know what I'm going to be making you review after that. But anyway, that's our thought. That's our thoughts on Backlash 2000. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what the next week's classic review will be after Backlash 2025.
Yes.
So, Lord help me. Until then, we will talk to y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.